Yeah? Ready when you are?
I'll give you a quick slate. So, is this your first time interacting with our works in interactive cinema?
So, I graduated from the Master of Art.
It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
You'll crawl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just introduce myself, I think.
For sure, yeah.
I'm Cansu. I'm a writer and curator specializing in digital art. And I'm also the founder of Digital Arts Blog, which is an online publication dedicated to new media arts. So I'm very deep into interactive media works and digital artworks and digital storytelling in general. And I'm obsessed with interactive media because mainly that it shows so much to you about yourself. Like the way I engage with an interactive media work is like if I interact with it from left to right, is that because I'm used to the Western culture? If I was Arabic, maybe I would want to navigate it from right to left, or like some Asian societies, does that go vertical? Or do you frantically click on everything and just like go nuts? Or do you just take your time, click on one thing, listen to the end, and then click on the other one? And I think all of these things like show so much to you about yourself. So I love interacting with it and also like critically thinking about it. Like, oh, what does that show about me?
That's really interesting that you bring up. It's a reflection almost of the user and their interaction. Because I think, what would you say with narrative cinema, traditional narrative cinema, is the difference from kind of remediating on that? Almost.
Yeah, definitely. Because like with traditional cinema, and I like during my master's, I took both classes where we were like interacting, like I said, frantically and like non-linearly. And then there's this other cinema work. It's like, okay, sit down and watch this from beginning to the end. And if it's well done, I think, then you can always go back to the beginning, watch it again, and have like a different experience of it.
So would you say almost that interactive cinema allows you to draw your conclusions kind of as you go and make different ones throughout like different playthroughs? And is that also something that you don't traditionally experience with narrative cinema?
That's interesting. Maybe do your get your lessons as you go. Also, like all of these works we just engaged with were so funky and like weird and bizarre in the best way possible that I often like don't even know what I'm engaging with, but it makes me laugh. There was this Sally AI chatbot, and she's like, ask me any question and I'll tell you your future, and you're like, ooh, you type something and it's like, oh, you really thought that I was gonna know the answer to it? And you're like, oh my god, it's so like playful. So I love that.
So what did you interact with today?
I think all of them. I interacted with Sally, the ghost-like order or whatever that was. Beyond. Yeah, that was so eerie. And even that, like, it just plays in this tiny video, in this whole black screen. You don't even know what you're seeing. It's all like pixelated and glitchy and so weird, but it also like becomes part of it too. Like you don't mind. Like if I'm watching a narrative cinema and it just buffers, it stops and it's like loading, I would go nuts. But with these works, it's like, okay, oh, wait a second. Oh, it's glitching now. Oh, I can't click on it, right? I have to reboot it. I have to refresh it. And like, you don't mind because it becomes just part of the experience. And I think it's so refreshing.
That's also a really interesting point to make, where with a traditional piece, you would get like frustrated almost if you had to like pause and sit there and wait. But with these works, it's almost inviting you to pause and sit there and wait alongside what you're looking at, which is a very interesting way to look at that.
I think so. And like I just thinking about like if I'm watching Netflix and it's just like starts pausing or buffering, I would like physically move my body to a better Wi-Fi spot to like accommodate it, to be like, okay, let's try it here now. And with these works, I don't know, I think it's so cool to just experience something and interact with this like digital work that makes you change your body for it. Or like I was trying to take pictures of it, but it's like so black that I see my own reflection, so I'm like, hi.
That's also really fun. Yeah. You said that you have a lot of experience with like interactive media, right? Can you talk a little bit about the changes that you've noticed in maybe more, I guess, modern quote unquote works or more recent works compared to some of the stuff that you interact with today?
Yeah, this was a conversation just came up yesterday with an artist, and he was making web-based works since the 90s. And I think Adobe Flash that he was working on is like not supported anymore. And then the museum that acquired his work was not interested in just like keeping it or updating it or like just making sure that the work can still be accessed. So he had to take his work, to redo it with a software that's like still being supported, and now he is concerned. He's in his 50s, and I was like, well, I'm gonna die one day, and like nobody will do that for me. But what's gonna happen? So now my focus is switching more to like how do we preserve these things, because right now we're facing so much difficulties like trying to work with like older iOS systems, and we are just like 10 or like 20 years in, 30 years in. What about like 100 years later? Like, are we gonna lose all of these? That's a big subject.
Yeah, that's also a really scary thing to think about. Also, when it comes to like documenting and archiving all kinds of cinema. So it's very scary also how these works can remind us of like their temporality just by us interacting with them.
Yeah. So maybe what we'll remember the most is like my writings about my experience with this work, and maybe this work won't survive, but like all of our experiences will at one point, and if we record them well, and maybe it's not about preserving it specifically, but the experiences around it and all the stories that come because of it.
That's very beautiful. Do you have anything you want to say about your work or your experience with interactive cinema?
I don't know, this is like a documentary, but like maybe just to you guys, like I love these kind of works, and I love promoting them on my website and like on my curatorial work otherwise. So I would love to be more in touch with all of the work that you do here, and also just like document them, spread the word, and just make the world know more about all these cool stuff.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Cansu.